Okay, well, welcome. My name is Egon Loke. I'm from Denmark. I work at the Technical University of Denmark, and we are 45 people, and we are part of a hierarchy of 6,000 people, and yeah, we deliver IT for and by people, and we use Sociocracy since 2018, and last time Ted visited us, that's about, I think actually it was 5 months ago, something like that, before summer. We showed Ted and Jerry this organization, and today we are this one. So what I want to say by this is we have in the last couple of months created a lot of new circles. Started a lot of new meeting series, created a lot of new roles, basically a lot of elements, Sociocratic elements. We're still in transition, as you can maybe see if you look at the organization. You have this middle circle, AC, it's called the anchor circle or the general circle. It's still very much central, very much, I would say there's still a lot of hierarchy left. But that's a decision we made to not make the transition or the change too big or too fast. So a lot of the circles are old teams we had in the old hierarchy. But we are now 100% covered, so all the people are part of a circle or more circles, and we are purpose-led now. So all the decisions we make are based on the main purpose or the derivative purposes that we have defined in each of the circles. But I said there's still a lot of old hierarchy. For example, personnel, coaching, and so forth are still done by the ex-managers. This is something we are slowly working on because it has to do with some culture and some expectations with our colleagues on yeah, they feel some security in that they have these old coaches still there, but we will find out how to change that. Choose your own coach, and we still don't have replings, and that is also by design because a few weeks ago we were ready to do that, and then we got actually the pushback from my colleagues that they didn't want the replings yet. And there's a lot of story about that, but this is where we are. So this is the organization we are at today. More complex than 5 months ago, and a lot of activity. And that's what I wanted to talk about. How are we dealing with all these tensions and roles and circles, definitions and purpose and domains and whatever, all the elements that are normal in a Sociocratic organization. Now we're an IT department and a university quite big, so we have a lot of IT. And what I wanted just to say is we are already using today Sharepoint as our internal website. So it was very easy for us to make a decision that, oh, well, let's try Sharepoint to support the Sociocratic infrastructure. So that's why we chose it. We already had invested it as an organization, so for us it's actually free. I know that a lot of you out there, if you want to try Sharepoint, you actually have to pay for it. But this is just to show, to tell you that's how we went into Sharepoint. It's because we had it for free anyway. So I think I will show the demo now. So I will go on the sites we have, and I just want to check with you, Ted. Is this too small, or should I zoom in? Or is it okay, or should I zoom in into this page?
It's okay for me. I tend to have good eyes, and I have it on full screen. I think it's doable. I think
I just put a little.
Yeah. That's probably enough. I mean, since I can't read it anyway because it's Danish most of it, it's good enough.
Okay. So what I will do now is I will just give you a very fast overview of how we design SharePoint. I will not show you too much about how to configure SharePoint because there's a lot of stuff out there on the net to show you how to do it. I just want to show what we did specifically to create the Sociocratic organization. So just for those who never seen SharePoint, this is just a very basic SharePoint site. It's not very, how do you say, it's not very beautiful, but it's functional, so it works. And if you look here on the left side, we have our anchor circle or our general circle as the top circle, and then we have a lot of circles under them, or under it. And it gets branched out. We'll take admin here. There's another TFS circle here. So what I do basically is I create sites and subsites, and each site is a circle. And each circle gets a site which you can configure. And we have a very standard, here it's called test template site. This is a very, this is the rough design you get. It's just a template. And I have to get back here. And then when you get this site, you can just start using it. It has the tension list, the role lists. It has the agendas if you want to have those. So if you have a page like that, you have different elements on them, and I'll just show you how it looks like if I start editing, because it shows better the elements. So we have a top element where we basically write in clear text what the purpose is, and this is just to, as a reminder, it's not the actual place where we define it. It's just to remind everyone once you go into the circle site that this is the way, that this is the purpose of this circle. And for this particular circle, we actually chose to put the agenda for each meeting in there as well, just to have it ready. And then you see some windows here, and those windows can be moved around and edited as you want. It's different views of different lists of different, this is a file area, this is a link area, this is a role area, and there are all kinds of them. So it's just to say that I can actually change everything, remove everything, and put some other elements in there. I will stop editing this, so I get back at the normal view. Good. The first thing I wanted to show is how do we define a circle, and I will go to our data warehouse circle, which is active here. And we have on the left side, we have some links, and one of them is called, it's all in Danish, of course. Ted asked me to not show anything that you can't read, but I think if it's in Danish, it's almost encrypted.
Yeah, it is. And I was worried about privacy. That's why I said that.
Yeah,
I'm not allowed to say. So maybe this is good. It adds some layer of secrecy. Yeah, that's good.
So here I have a link. It says a circle description, and what it basically is, it's a OneNote. It's a very easy way of editing. Everybody can go in there and edit. So there's no controlled way of checking who's doing what. Yeah, it will remember who's writing what, but see it as a wiki. And we have different areas. We have purpose, we have domain, we have responsibility, we have dependencies, and we have policies. And the purpose, well, you can write it down there. Then we have a domain. These are some IT areas where we say this is only this circle that has responsibility for these domains. We try to write as little as possible into the domains. But the fun thing is that when the circles start up, they have a tendency to put a lot of it in the domain. So they want to protect and shield it from outside. And we can see the first circles that appeared a year ago or some months ago. They are starting now from their own free will moving from the domains to responsibility. So they can see it's too much of a responsibility, or it's not flexible enough if it's only them being able to handle the area of responsibility. Responsibility is very standard. Dependencies, I'm not sure that's that much. Yeah, and policies, we're not really using that right now. So this area is just basically defining the circle. I go back. Yes. Then we have roles, and the roles are over here. And as you can see, we have already defined some roles here. A facilitator is written here, and we can also see who is having those roles. And if you look at the facilitator, if you click on that one, you can see, I'll just do it like this, then it's easy to see. We have a role name, we have the purpose of the role, the domain of the role, the responsibility of the role, dependencies. We can see who has the role, you can have multiple. And very important, we have the dates whereby we have to reevaluate, renominate the role. I can see we are, it's 1/10/2019. That means basically that this role is up for grabs. So the next time we will meet, we will have to reconvene and find out who's the facilitator. And that we have basically for all other areas as well. And some are very short, some are longer, yeah. What I think is nice is that I always can see who started the role. I can see who's the role, and then this one, when we have to revise the nomination of this role or who's having the role, it's quite good to have. Good. If I go back to our anchor circle, there's something special we have with roles, and that is. If we look at the other picture, I'm just trying to find out where that is, this one. Yes. We have an organization where not all roles reside into one of those circles. So actually I only wrote one down here. There's a little circle over here. So we have actually quite a few roles that are not part of a circle yet. They're part of the larger organization. And we found out, okay, we have to have a collection of those, so we call them loose roles. And once we did that, defined loose roles, a lot of new roles appeared because people just said, hey, this role is also here, I'm doing this, I don't know where I belong to, so I'll just write it here. So this was a very, I didn't think about it before, but this was a very good way of collecting all the roles that are in the organization, which people do out of their own engagement or out of their own responsibility. But now suddenly it became clear. Suddenly we see, oh, there's a robotics administrator. My God, that's true. We have that. So a lot of clarity appears by just having this little list of loose roles. They're not even defined or connected to a circle. But yes, some of those roles, somebody made attention and said, hey, why is this role not in this circle? And then you can move them out. Another thing which is very interesting with roles, this is the lower one here, is we have a role market. So if a circle or a person wants to define a role and say, hey, I would like to have somebody that fills this role, but I don't know who, then you actually have an ability to put this role on the market, or a place where everybody can see, oh, everybody can apply to that one. So I can go in there and I can look, okay, what is this about? Okay, so this role, it's a coordinating role. There's no description here. There are some responsibilities. Oh, can I do that? Oh, there's some competences. Am I? And then I see who is responsible. That's over. Oh, that's myself. Maybe some comments, and then I can just apply to it. I can contact the person down there and say, hey, I would like to have this role. And that works. People are actually looking at those, and we have distributed several of the new roles like that. We had a circle saying, hey, they need somebody to fill out a system administration or a system management role, and they didn't have anyone, so they put it out here in this market, and nobody wants it. So now we know there's actually a demand, and nobody wants it or can do it. So we actually have to find out how we, as an organization, deal with a role that is not filled up. So should we hire somebody? And now we know when we hire somebody, oh, this is the role we're actually looking for. Yes, that's about roles. Now, what's maybe interesting is how do we do the meetings, the Sociocratic, the circle meetings. And I think I will show that by I take CRM, I think. So here we have a CRM circle. It's a circle of about 7-8 people. It started not many months ago. And on the left side here, I have a tension list. And in this tension list, if I click on it, I'll just use the shorter version. These are the tensions that people have put in. And I can see there's at least one person really active in creating all the tension. We call her Mrs. Tension because she's very good in finding tensions and placing them somewhere. So it's funny that some people are basically more tension oriented and really can somehow translate the feeling or the observation into a very concrete thing. We have other tensions, other tension list. I will go here. The short one. Yes, this is another list. And you can see here different people are initiating the tension, writing the tension. We can see the status. These are new ones, so they will have. If we have a meeting, it's a classic meeting, check-in, administrative phase. We do some status sometimes as well, or temperature. And then we do the tension, go through the temperature, the tension lists. And the first list we look at is this one. It will look at all the tensions that are currently being handled or are new. So basically we will go into one of them, click on them, and then, oh, I will do this, yes. And then we look at the tension and see, okay, the tension preferably should be handled the 2nd of October. And then we use the SOFA book, the Many Voices, One Song differentiation, where we actually have 3 areas. We have the information, what is this about? We have the feedback input, and we have the what is the proposal, the decision. And so typically people will start by only writing what this is about, and then when you discuss it, we will write down the feedback, and then if we have enough information, we actually can already put a decision in there. And we will always, when we close this, look at, okay, this was new. As soon as we handled it, we will put it into process, and we say, oh, we have not yet reached, we ended not the process, we have not made a decision, or we say we have made a decision. And then we put a date in there that says, at this date, we will check if this decision is still valid, if it's still the right thing to do. So if I go back to the main circle, you have, for example, a list of, let me just check. Yeah, this one. Oh, there's only one. Maybe I can show another one where there's a lot. What I do here is for all those lists, there's a lot of views, and all those views I can make myself. Okay, this is a good one. This is a view of all the decisions we made. So the status is decided, and it is ranked by the date that these decisions have to be reevaluated. So we made a decision, and the 19th of September, we should have looked at that decision and see if it's still good, or if we just can, should we follow up on it more? Sometimes we take an attention in, we make a decision, and then a week or 2 weeks later, when this date is over, we say, okay, is it still valid? And then the person says, yeah, well, we made a decision, it's still the right decision, but we have to follow up again in a month or so. Sometimes the person says, yeah, the decision is great, everything works, close it. So then we close the tension, it will be removed from this follow-up list. For those who want to know, oh, what did you decide? We have this whole list of all the decisions we made. So the fun thing is we can actually see all the decisions we have made for the last, it's the first one was in the 29th of April. And basically it's not really true because we had another site. So this is actually when we used the new site. From the 29th of April, we had these decisions. So since the 29th of April, the general circle has made 107 decisions. And I can check each and every one what it entices. Now the fun thing is that people can actually start having an alert on these lists. So every time a new decision comes, a new tension comes up, I can actually subscribe to these changes. What does that mean? That means the following. So if I subscribe to a list where somebody made a decision, I can actually, and now I go to my Outlook, my mail system. Of course, I have a lot of circles I just follow and have subscribed to the tension lists. So I get these kind of mails. I get, for example, from the CRM circle, I get to know, okay, this is the issue. This is what they had feedback and on this issue, and then this is what they wanted to decide. And I can see in the status that they're still following up on them. I can see this is the action that they're following up on. It's Steen that has the responsibility, and the 27th of November we have to look at it again. And because I get all these mails, I can just say, okay, well, I read it. Sometimes I delete it. I don't. It's not interesting, or yes, I know now. But the fun thing is, a lot of people are subscribing to these tensions and reacting to them if they have some extra information, or they maybe think the decision was wrong, or they have some concerns or whatever. I use it when I get a tension like this one. I can see my name is in the responsibility. I can see it's a decision, and I can see that I have some actions left. So I will actually flag it into my mail and keep it here. So I remember it. I have to ask the HR partner about certain things. And I have to follow up on the 30th of October. So by subscribing to the tensions, you get a lot of extra effect in your Sociocratic organization. It basically means whenever somebody, I can subscribe to all of these circles tension lists if I want to. I could also not do it. We have people who only subscribe to the circles they're part of. We have people that subscribe to all the circles. That's up to them. And a lot of them, they are subscribing to the general circle because there's a lot of issues that they think are very strategic and they want to know about it. In the beginning, we were afraid that by opening up for all those tensions, people would react to everything, and there would be a lot of information or a lot of reactions on them. But it's not true. People are subscribing when they want to. They're reacting when they want to, and what we can see is they actually react with valuable information. And I think it was Ted's writing it somewhere, but I have these funny stories where there's so much real-time decision making in this that we were at some point in a meeting deciding on a quite heavy subject. I think we used half an hour on discussing what to do, and then we found out, okay, we were not able to make the decision. And then we had a recess in the meeting. I went out of the door and I took 2 steps out of the door, saw another person coming out of her office, and she was looking at me and she said right away, oh, by the way, this decision you are contemplating, remember that Søren does this and this and this, he could really help you with that. And the first thing I was thinking was, what was she talking about? And then I realized, oh my God, she just got the mail from the meeting I just went out of with the information of the tension and where we were. And the information she gave me was actually very relevant. So after recess, I could go in and do the right, propose the right decision to do with the new information I got. So yes, it is a little bit frightening that all the information is free. Everybody can get it in real time when you update your tension lists. But I can see there's so many decisions now that are made, so they become so well informed, they're of a quality higher than they used to be. So I would say, yeah, transparency, make it open. Really, really good. Okay, I don't know how to do on time. Ted?
About halfway.
About halfway. Good. Agendas. Again, every circle has its own website, so you can, because it's SharePoint, there's a lot of stuff you can actually put into these elements. If I show it like this, there are all these elements, I can put different stuff in. And I can show you, for example, if I do this and I go to site contents, then I can show you there's a lot of elements I can put into if I want to. So if you want a document library, or I want a calendar, or I want an issue tracking tool, or whatever. Also, we can save the templates. So if some circle found out a very nice way of showing tensions or doing whatever, they can save it as a template, and everybody else can take it on. So this is just to say that in SharePoint everything is modular, and that's actually a nice one. It gives you a lot of flexibility. Every circle has rights on its own side, so they can just make it as they want to. And as an example, I will give you Kit to Teal, which is our change management circle, deciding the pace, the intensity, and the size, and what kind of elements we want to, new elements we want to put into the organization. So our journey from hierarchical to Sociocratic or Teal organization is actually decided by this circle. And they decided they wanted to have a different way of setting it up. The tensions are on the right side, for example. And they decided also that they wanted to have, actually it's the secretary. The secretary has a domain, which is this website. So one of the secretaries decided, oh, she wanted to have a standard way of making agendas, and actually also following up on agendas. So this is, everybody knows beforehand what are the topics we're going to talk about, and these are some of the decisions. Not everybody wants this. Some say, well, just dealing with the tensions and documenting those in the list is enough for a meeting documentation. And some of it, like these, they say, well, we do it a little bit the old classic way, and that's their freedom. They can do what they want. The fun thing is with exactly this circle is that now I can actually go through all the meetings that have been held since eternity. I don't know even when this list is stopping. These are all the meetings in one place. The first one is 21st of August 2018. So from an historic point of view, you could get a lot of nice stories out of those. What are the tensions we looked at? And the reactions, and what did we do with them. But that again, it depends on each circle, what they think is interesting and how they want to work. And that total freedom, they can decide themselves. We have a standard template they get, and then they can start customizing as they want. Yes. Okay. I could show you if we have, for example, tensions, and I'll show you maybe this one, then you see more. You can see that these are the same, it's the same information, just showed in different ways. All these are views, which we ourselves can make. And I can show you now, I go behind, I have to have administrator access to this, but all of us have it almost, so that would be no problem. No, that's the wrong one, sorry guys. I have to go back and go into the list, and then go up here, the list. And there's something called list settings. And here you can see these are all the attributes of a list. It's and we can define them ourselves. So for example, this one, status, is a choice. I can choose what type of this is basically SharePoint editing. If you know SharePoint, this is the way to do it. If you don't, it's quite, I would say it's straightforward. But I can say myself what kind of status types there are, and I can there's a lot of choices I can make. The fun thing is also with regarding to the views, I can go to a view, I can make a new one, and then I can decide what do I want, what columns, what attributes do I want to show in the view. I can say how it has to be ordered and how to be filtered, and these views I'm then using when I go back and forth in these, now I'm going into the attention list, and here up here I have all these type of views. So it's the same data. Here when I say all items, this is everything. And then I have the views that I think are interesting. If you want to know what we are mostly using, we are using the new tensions. We are using the follow-up, where we have to follow up on the tasks that have been decided on, and the last one is basically the history of the decisions and the when the decisions have to be reevaluated or they have to be closed. Good. Now I hope I didn't do anything too fast for you. Yes, I think that is about it. I will go back to this one. So from our point of view, what is our verdict about using Sharepoint for Sociocracy? I would say it's very flexible, and what I of course like the most is it can follow your maturity. So if you only, I don't know, have one element of Sociocracy, then you can only do that element. If you only want to have an agenda or maybe tensions, and that's what you do, not roles. So if you want to have roles in there, you can put roles. You can make it as complicated as you want. It's easy to configure, especially if you're a little bit handy with IT. There's no coding, there's no strange stuff. But SharePoint can be, there's so many options that can become something you have to look at. There's a lot of advanced features, for example, that you can subscribe to the lists in the items in a list when they change. That's out of the box. If you use other Microsoft tools like Skype or whatever, you can see who's there, who's not there. There's a lot of things that are connected. So if you use Microsoft Office, it's of course perfect integration. But you have to configure everything yourself. So it's basically one big box of Legos or elements, and you have to choose. You have to pick and choose. You have to do some work up front, maybe make some templates. So it's getting easier if you replicate the circles, if you make more circles. There's no automatic Sociocratic compliance checks. And why do I say that? There's a lot of other tools out there we have looked at, Glassfrog and what they all are called. And we had really difficulty in using them because they decided some stuff for us. So you're not able to make a circle if you not have created a tension, and you can't do the tension if you not have the meeting, and everything is connected and regulated. And we didn't like these automatic compliance checks. So we're a little bit more autonomous. So we wanted to do things just very simple. This works, this works. There's no Sociocratic rule checker. We do it wrong, or yeah. But there's no visualization either. So some tools have a nice way of showing things. SharePoint is not good at that. SharePoint is not the most aesthetic user interface, but it works. It's made by engineers, and we are Tech University, so there you have it. And then of course there's license costs. For us it was free, or is free. I checked it up when Ted asked. If you're non-profit, it's $3 per month as far as I can see. And this is if you're interested, then that's the way to go. Go cloud. Don't buy any licenses on-premise, are too expensive. This is an easy way just to check it out. The important stuff is that it says SharePoint. That is what you want to have. that you get all the other stuff as well. Well, you have to find out if that's worth it. Yeah, I think that is about it. I don't know if there are questions. Anyway, if you have questions, just send me a mail. I'll try to answer them. Yes.
Thank you so far. There are a few questions in the chat here.
Okay.
One is more about your use of Sociocracy, I would say, but let's do it anyway. That's bound to happen, right? How are roles rewarded? Did you introduce a new system for rewarding? I'm just gonna.
How are roles rewarded or assigned?
I think I was. Well, maybe you want to say that the question asker. I was thinking that it was going toward salaries. How was salaries? Tell us how you meant it. Indeed what? Do you want to unmute and speak? Salaries, money.
Was that the question? Try again. I didn't get it.
Okay. How do you determine salaries based on roles? Or
okay, there are some assumptions here. First of all, we're still a hierarchic organization, and we're in Denmark, so everything is regulated, including salaries. We are not able right now to decide salaries for ourselves. So basically, the salary part we have not touched upon in this organization. So we are using Sociocratic elements, but the salary part, we're not deciding each other's salary. What we do decide is, for example, who should get a pay raise. But there are some rules on who gets what based on education and amount of years you've been in the state.
University.
Yeah. Is that okay? Is that the?
Yeah. I don't think anything's. So I have a question here, and that is, I'm doing it in the order that it was posted. So I'm curious because one thing that I struggle with in some organizations that I see is that other people can't really make sense of other circles' notes because they weren't there, and the notes, the way they are taken, any sort of. No. What do people say? I just wonder, do people say, this is all, I don't even get it, or does it make sense? The quality of, it's both the quality of notes, that's my question. What can you see about that? And just not being in some other circle's business means you don't get it all.
Yeah. Well, I'll show you now a custom developer circle. And if you look at their ways of using the tensions, it's very short. And this is basically how it starts. This is for us the first maturity. That's just raising tensions. And so what they do, what we try to educate them, that every time you have something, a tension, conflict, a question, you just put it on the side. Go into the side and put it on the list. And often you will start with this, which is basically filled out the title, right? And then there's nothing else. But you have a name. and that's how it starts. And if you're outside of that circle, the only thing you can do is ask the person if you're interested. Go to the person and say, hey, what is that about? But mostly nobody will do that. It will be in the circle. In the circle, they will then start asking. Each circle has some facilitator in the beginning that tries to guide them through. So then they will put more information on there. But yes, what they write here is development specific things. Most of it I can understand, but sometimes there's something I just absolutely don't understand, and that's something I have to live with. What we say is the tensions have to be understandable for the circle they're raised in. And that is basically also what we say, that the tension list is from the circle, and they, if it works for them, it works. They have no obligation to write it in a way that others have to understand it. But yes, when they become more mature, they will start having a lot more discussions, and some of them, I just have to find one which is absolutely horrendous. Let me just, no, I can't find one, but some of them are really, really long-winded and very large.
Right, which poses its own problem, right? Too little,
it gives
too
its
much.
own problem. Yes, right.
And sorry, hold on, I had a follow-up on that. Dang, no, it slipped away. Hold on. Nope. Oh no, yeah, and that is so do people have a chance to hear? So there's typically two ways how people hear what's happening in other circles. One is through the minutes, so through the system. One is through, linking and that, so reports. What's your sense of how do they work together? Do they reach everybody? Is it enough? Is it the right level of information and so on?
That's a fun one. It has to do with curiosity. If you're curious about another circle, often you just start browsing their tension lists. Maybe you start subscribing to the list, and maybe you have a tension where you read about a tension where you say, hey, what's that? And most of them actually will go to the person and ask, what's this about? I saw this. Those who are becoming more relaxed with it, they actually start replying on their email and say, hey, I saw that you raised this tension. What do you think? Why is this? Or I have some input to that. We have a rule, which is that nobody can raise tensions in a circle you're not part of. The system is not set up like that, so basically everyone can do it. And we can see who's doing the tension or who is writing the tensions, so the system just logs it. But it's a way of keeping the tensions in those circles. Now, how the circles, maybe I should show this one. How the circles are acting with each other depends. In our organization, a lot of circles have members which are in several. This is the old one. This one shows it better. Here you can see that some members are in different circles, so they are basically crosslinks. That's one way of handling. So some circles are very much connected. They have 2, maybe 3 members in each other's circles, and that their communication will go automatically. There's some circles which are relatively isolated, and that's okay, unless somebody makes a tension. We have here a circle here which is called THC or ESDH, which is our case management system. There are only 3 people in there. Not many have interest in looking at that, but if it works for them, what they do, it's okay. If somebody has a question, they can go to the person or look at the tension list. I have to say maybe one thing extra, that is some of those more obscure circles, which nobody knows what are about, by having their tensions in the list or having a site, the information is there for those that require them. So things are more clear in a way. Before, they were just working in this room, in this corner of the building, and nobody knew what they were doing. Now they're still down there in the corner, but now we can actually see what tensions they are working on. And it actually helps hindering stories. Because maybe there's some saying, hey, I never see what they do. They maybe don't do anything sensible the whole day. Why do they get their paycheck? And when you now look at those, what is their purpose? What is their domain? You look at their tensions, you look at their roles, and then you can see, okay, that's what they're doing. Okay. So I think actually that some of this, all these circles are made transparent and documented in these sites, and everybody can see it. This transparency also reduces stories and clarifies.
Thank you. I know Denis has a question that I asked him to ask out loud. Denis, where are you?
Okay, do you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with SharePoint, what it was called before, 1 point or 1 share, I don't remember.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
But I kind of recognize like all the tabs that you can produce there. And I was wondering, how much do you use the database for information, like for members, or for you have your list of tensions or decisions that were made? And I was wondering, how does that work?
I'm not sure I understand the question. I mean, we have all these lists with all the data in there. You can browse them as you want. You can even search them. So actually, if I have a decision, if somewhere in the organization the decision is made, I can actually find it by just having a generic search. This is standard. Now I just make a search and I can see, oh, there was a tension about these about glasses. There was a tension about somebody asking, is the company paying for reading glasses?
Okay, so let me ask another question then. How do you register who's in which circle, for example?
Yeah, that's each circle has this this role area, and here we can see whom is part of the circle. So if you have a role in the circle, you're basically part of the circle.
And this is just like a small table.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
All right.
One of the things you maybe we have not found out, or we were talking about that right now every site, every circle has its own role list. But what we maybe should have done is make one big list for the whole organization, and then you have some views for each circle. Because then it's easier to move roles around if they move. Now it's I don't know. If it's 25 circles, it's 25 role lists, which are not connected to each other. But that's advanced stuff. We will find out how to do that in the future.
And how would it be possible to share some of the templates with the community?
I have no problem. There's no. They will be clean, of course. No data in it, but I actually think you can export all these templates. So I can just export that for you, and then you can put it somewhere, and you can try it. The issue is that you have to be quite aware of the version of SharePoint you're using, because we had some problems with uploading and downloading certain templates from made in 2010 version, and we are using 2013, and then something went wrong. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Remember, you can still ask questions in the chat, or if you don't want to type, you can also unmute and speak when it's a good moment, like now. In the absence of other questions, I'm asking something, and that is the question that keeps popping up that is related to this is, if somebody joins the organization, so somebody gets hired, finds themselves in a circle, how easy is it? What's your experience with catching them up? Using, like, they would basically go through the whole circle history, or not? Or how do you do that?
First of all, we have not had anyone joining since we started all the circles. Oh, we had one. Yes, we had one. But yeah, I mean, I've not heard anything. There were no tensions about it. So the fun thing is, if there are no tensions, we don't do anything. So about it. So we had one discussion about onboarding people with regards to what are the principles, the what is it, the values of the organization. And that was actually Keep to Teal circle, and we just had them. Yeah, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Oh, I have to go out of this. Stuff. I have to push this one. So basically, I just have to get back here. Yes. What was the question? I just lost that one.
Onboard. No, you were talking.
Yeah,
just
the onboarding. Yes,
the
the onboarding part. What we found out is we had a tension about what are our values. So we had a discussion, and then somebody making a list of values, and then we found out by reading that list of values that this was actually the perfect way of onboarding a person. So now we are going to try it. The next time somebody comes, we're going to use that list to say, this is the way we work. For example, the last one joining us, he could choose his own coach. He had to go around and talk with all the circles and find out what he wanted to do. And then he decided on working in, I think, one circle at least, started, and he helped another circle as well. And that's how he went to work. And he was he is a very concrete guy, a guy which wants to have some very clear stuff. He likes checklists, and so his approach was, well, I want to see what are the open tensions. Can I do something here? Yes, I can. I'll take that one. And then he went on, and he didn't need a lot of information on why are they there and what's the circle for. He will take that in when he needs it. Maybe if another person joins our organization and needs the purpose and why are we here and what are we doing, who are our customers, then that person can find the information somewhere else in some of the other circles. But it's Sociocratic. It means we only work on it when somebody raises attention and thinks this is worthwhile using your energy on.
Do you save? Yes, a question from the chat. It's again more about your use of Sociocracy. Are you willing to take it?
Yep.
Do you save Agile, and if so, do you see benefits of Sociocracy in combination with scaled Agile way? Hold on, this is
I get it. I think we use Agile. Agile is very close to Sociocracy, but we're not using scaled Agile. So scaled Agile is Agile on a enterprise level, but a lot of values, a lot of ways of doing things are similar. For example, it's to create value is more important than to follow the plan. That's an Agile principle, and it fits also with Sociocracy or our organization. So that's the way we act. We have a lot of developers, and they do Agile. So there's a good fit. It's different tools for different situations. Agile. Maybe I have a story about this. Again, this custom development circle. They said, "Oh, why do we need Sociocracy? The way of doing that because we are already using Agile." And then we're talking about this, and now they have found out what the reason is that they have Sociocracy, because Agile is very much focused on development tasks. How many story points do we do, prioritizing, etc. It's very professional development oriented, while Sociocracy is everything else also. So if I have a problem with a person, if I don't understand why somebody is not there for a whole week, all these other kinds of tensions that have nothing to do with development, suddenly they can see now, that's why we have this. So now everything is being dealt with in an Agile way, not just the job, but also the processes, the way we work, the feelings we have, the situations, the tensions we have. That's quite interesting, I think.
I'd love to hear how the answer landed. Oh yeah, okay, thanks. Good example. All right. And we are at the end of things, unless we could take one more, but we could also call it a day. Perfect ending. Yes, that's true. And I maybe if you walked in early into this show and tell, you heard that I was announcing that we will do more. I was sort of feeling, no, what is that? Doing a temperature check on Egon, how much storytelling there is updates on stories, because Egon did talk about the use of Sociocracy at the online conference. So there is a recording of that available. If you don't find it, ask me. But I think the storytelling is important. Telling each other stories, like the stories that he told here, because it helps us all wrap our head around how we do things in new ways. Do you have anything you still want to add? Anything you're sitting on, Egon?
The only thing I would say is this is just a way you can do it, could do it. There's no formula to do it for your organization or for yourself. You have to find out yourself. You have to get dirty.
Yeah. Starting somewhere. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I enjoyed your presentation style. It seemed, it was very calm, very informative. The level of information I can take in. Excellent. Thank you.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, and you can see some praise. So you can see, see some praise in the chat.